joined on the telephone by Sarah Bankson. She is a pediatric physical therapist, UnityPoint Witwer's Children's Center. Sarah, thanks for joining us in the WMT Morning Show. How are you today?
I'm great. It's good to be here.
I'm glad to have you on. We're talking about going back to school because within the month now, everybody's going to be back in the warm classrooms, and we're going to be loading, well, not us. Our kids are going to try to load themselves down with everything they possibly can, including the kitchen sink, in their backpacks. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this. What negative impacts can heavy backpacks have on our kids heading to school despite their age?
Well, heavy backpacks can have a lot of harmful impacts on our children. Children's bodies aren't designed to carry very, very heavy loads. In fact, most experts recommend that a backpack should be loaded with absolutely no more than 20% of a child's body weight, and really the recommended level is more like 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Negative impacts could include things like backaches, shoulder aches, headaches, even difficulty concentrating.
Headaches? That's interesting.
Well, if you think about it, if you've got a heavy load on the top of your shoulders and your head is pointed forward all the time, you can have a lot of tension in your neck, which is going to lead to potential headaches.
Okay, that makes sense. Are there different physiological impacts at different ages for kids?
It's difficult to say. Younger children definitely have a more immature skeletal system, and so they might be prone to more repetitive stress injuries. Another thing that more younger children are more prone to is learning bad postural habits that can follow them throughout their lives.
And that's kind of interesting. I guess I sort of noticed that when you have people who are, they kind of lean forward and their shoulders curve forward because they're so used to carrying that heavy backpack around all the time.
Exactly, and that can follow them for a very long time, and it's hard to unlearn.
Sarah Bankson is a pediatric physical therapist for UnityPoint Witwer Children's Center, joining us here on the WMT Morning Show. As part of Back to School, what we're doing is we're trying to talk to parents about the things that are important they need to know as their kids are heading back to school. So is there a better style for backpack that's out there, like the one-shoulder one I saw, or the two-shoulder, or even the handheld briefcase style?
Some of it is personal preference, but in general, I generally recommend a backpack that carries a load symmetrically, which is generally a two-shoulder backpack. You want something ideally that has a chest clip, and some backpacks even have a waist strap that can help distribute the weight. You also want the shoulder straps to be nice and padded and held snugly against the body. There is an increase in popularity in some of the rolling backpacks, and if you have children that need to carry large amounts of books back and forth to school, then that may also be a good choice.
Okay, now that does make sense. It is kind of strange when you think about it. They make backpacks so sturdy, while at the same time we don't want to overload our students. It's like we're giving them the opportunity to overload themselves.
It is a strange kind of conundrum. One thing to think about, however, is backpacks serve two purposes. They serve to carry things, but they also serve to protect the contents. So a nice and sturdy backpack does keep items from shifting around, and that can lead to a better load distribution.
Very good points all. Sarah Bankson from UnityPoint Witwer Children's Center, where she's a pediatric physical therapist.